How far you hiked today, Kyle?
So far, somewhere around 4 miles. Isn't that right?
Yep, I think.
I think, give or take.
It's mid-October 2020, and I've just returned from my first trip to Southeast Utah, and it was a phenomenal experience. The highlight of the trip was a 3-day backpacking trip through the Grand Gulch. Unfortunately, I traded about half the water I should have taken for my drone, and we ended up turning back on day 2, nearly out of water and getting dehydrated. The old adage you can live 3 days without water definitely does not apply when hiking in the desert. But our descent into madness was tempered by getting to explore 3 Anasazi ruins along this route, and then 2, getting to fly the drone over these spectacular landscapes. We were so looking forward to seeing the dwellings themselves. One of the things I did not expect was for the artwork to be, I guess, really so moving and emotional for me, because it's a very personal thing. You know, when you draw something and you share that with somebody, to think that this person did this, 1,000 years ago, and here we are today, still looking at it and considering it. It's pretty incredible. And when you put this against the backdrop of God's artwork in the area, which was just phenomenal, man, it made for a really good first day. We went to bed that night under this canopy of stars, and we were thirsty, but it was it was a good first day.
Well, it is super, super dry, and this is the reason we've aborted our hike. The scenery is spectacular. It's a terrible shot, but anyway, spectacular. We're just thirsting to death. We're looking for the spring as we head back up.
It was at that point, when I couldn't think of a name I'd been saying for weeks, that I realized I was getting dehydrated. And so we diligently set about finding the spring that we knew was in the area.
I forgot to take a picture of the spring that I got that water out of, but it was not very appetizing. It was a puddle with a lot of swimming mosquito larvae, some of which may be in those bottles. What's your favorite thing about the trip so far, Kyle?
Hiking out.
Yeah.
Getting back to the car.
Yeah.
Despite coming out a day early, we were both blown away by just the stark beauty of Grand Gulch. Part of the difficulties that we encountered were the unmaintained trails, which are basically just animal trails, lots of vegetation. You're hiking on very thick sand, so we were stumbling and falling and getting up with these heavy packs. And then finally, it was forecast to be in the 70s. It was actually in the 90s while we were there. So all of these factors led us to take the safe route and get out of there.
Kyle is smart enough not to stand in the road. We're in the Navajo Nation, where the roads are sketchy. But the scenery is unbelievable.
At midweek, we headed north to Moab. I couldn't imagine any landscapes topping what we had seen, but Utah is full of surprises. If the land doesn't drop into the earth or reach to the sky, it opens windows through stone.
We made it to Canyonlands this morning, and this is our first stop. We're at Schaefer Canyon Overlook. How do you feel?
Pretty good.
There's always some goofball standing on the ledge, making us nervous.
Talking, making a video.
That night, we stayed in our favorite place of the entire trip, a yurt at Dead Horse Point State Park. And there were several awesome things about it. Number one, it was a yurt. Number two, it's an international dark sky location, so the night sky viewing is just unparalleled. We spent an hour taking terrible photographs of the Milky Way with our phones. And finally, it's located inside the park, so when the tourists go home, you're still in the park. And I took the opportunity to hike to the Great Pyramid Overlook at sunset. During 2.5 miles, I didn't see another person.
And I'm here by myself. All by myself. The sun just set right back there. And so I'll probably be walking back a little bit in the dark, but gosh, this was worth it.
And one final positive about the yurt, you will not regret watching the sunrise from that deck.
Step right out there and let me get a shot of you.
That's as comfortable as I am with it.
We are at Dead Horse Point State Park, just outside of Moab, Utah. And Kyle will not get on any of these ledges so that I can take his picture. Oh, wow. Oh my goodness.
It's day 7 and nearly time to go, but not before I put that drone up one more time.